We will now cover New York Commercial Driver's License Manual, Section 10, specifically Section 10.2, Loading and Unloading. The first part, 10.2.1, Approaching the Stop. Each school district establishes official routes and official school bus stops. All stops should be approved by the school district prior to making the stop. You should never change the location of a bus stop without approval from the appropriate school district official. Again, New York's law makes it hard for engineers to change the road in order to provide protection for children. But I also question, since the school district is in charge of these bus stops according to the CDL, are they willing to view high ticket areas as a danger spot where the bus stop needs to be moved, and are they moving said stop? Okay, scrolling down to section 10. Again, the priority goes to all state and local laws and regulations regarding approaching a school bus stop. But VTL 1174 hasn't been updated since 2014. Okay, approaching the stop, you should activate alternating flashing amber warning lights at least 300 feet before the school bus stop. That is what the CDL recommends, not the state law. From what I could read, again, not a lawyer, but the CDL. Then when stopping, you should place the bus in park or neutral and set the brake. So that's a procedure that needs to take after the bus comes to the stop. And only activate, and this is the big one, only activate the alternating flashing red lamps when traffic is a safe distance from the school bus and ensure stop arm is extended. I have seen video coming out of New York where when the bus immediately comes to rest, they throw everything out. But this one line here makes me believe that it's up to the bus driver to check to make sure vehicles are cleared out. Okay, we are going to be covering New York State Law VTL 1174. Again, I'm not a lawyer, and this is not legal advice. I pulled this this publication off of the New York State Senate. In the red part here, we'll be using this entry, which was published on 2014, September 22nd. I did pull up the most recent version for 2024. It reads exactly the same, word for word, which means the state has not updated this for at least a decade. And I believe the camera law came in after 2014. So they passed the camera law, but never went back to try to improve, update, codify new things to help improve the safety of school bus stopping in the state of New York, in my opinion. So, Section 1174, Overtaking and Passing School Bus. Again, Vehicle and Traffic, VAT, Chapter 71, Title 7, Article 29. So 1174, this first part here basically says you have to stop for a school bus. When it displays, I believe it's red visual signal. To the best of my recollection, I don't even think they need to deploy the stop arm. A few states also have that as well, but they just mentioned the red visual signal. You have to stop for it no matter what direction you're going in or approaching the bus or coming up from behind. And you have to stop no matter what the road system looks like, whether it's 2 lanes or 10 or 12 lanes wide. If there's a divided highway with trees planted, you're still required to somehow see the bus through all the traffic and all the debris and still be able to safely bring your vehicle to a halt. The parts in the teal, those tie into other laws that talk about the signal notifications or definitions, things along those lines. You can go ahead and read those on your own. Again, they're going to be in Chapter 71 and Subdivision 20 of Section 375. And when they mean of this chapter, again, Chapter 71. It took me a minute to have to find those. All right, Section B. A link in there would be really nice. You could just click on it and it would transport you to that. Always ways to make things better. Section B gets into what the school bus driver needs to do. And basically, it's wait till the child gets to a safe distance or crosses in front of the bus. Safe distance, leave the red lights running until, again, the child is out of harm's way, and then you can retract everything and proceed forward. And then we get into section 3, and this has to do with violations. So I went ahead and put a little chart here, kind of links into the green parts. But this is all, if this all happens within a 3-year period, your first violation, minimum $250 up to $400 for your first violation. I believe this is if a police officer witnesses it, pulls you over, gives you a citation. Imprisonment up to 30 days, and you could possibly have fines and fees. The second violation, so if you get a second violation within a 3-year period, you're looking at a minimum of $600, maximum of $750, and possibly imprisonment of up to 180 days, possibly fines and fees. And then for the third violation within a 3-year period, you're looking at a possible fine of $750 with a maximum of $1,000 and possible imprisonment of up to 180 days, fine and fee also. There are some politicians talking, I'll put up an article of theirs in this video here, where they are talking about, there's still a school bus stopping problem, but they're discussing increasing the fines, whether it be for a camera or if an officer pulls you over. So your first violation will be $1,000. So instead of that minimum $250, just look at it as $1,000 fine for your first violation. And again, it's been 10 years since they've codified, added, or updated anything to the actual law, 1174. Even though they passed the camera law after, I just feel like this is where they should be making the most changes on the actual operation point. Okay, we're now pushing into New York State VTL 1174A. Again, if you're skipping through or you missed the first part, I'm not a lawyer, and this is not legal advice. I'm just reading off the legislation page for the New York State Senate. This has to do with 1174A, and it was, the version we're reading was published on May 31st of 2024. The earliest version of this, or when it was basically codified into law, August 9th, 2019. And remember, 1174 has not been touched at least since 2014. So this is just basically to enforce that law through cameras. I'm not going to get into the weeds with this one. It's pretty much set up like an operations manual on how to set the program up, who has what jurisdictions where, who oversees the program, who can or cannot access certain videos. I believe some of the parts in here also talk about defenses. There's one at the very end I'll mention when I go through M. The big key takeaway part I'm jumping into here is letter M. M as in Michael. It gets into an annual report that needs to be produced every year for every locality's program. This is New York State Vehicle Transportation Law 1174-A, Section M as in Mike. What Section M requires is that if a county, city, town, or village implements a school bus camera program, they have to put out a yearly report. That yearly report is then published and sent to the governor, the temporary president of the Senate, and the Speaker of the Assembly. If you read through these line items and interpret them differently, please let me know, put it into the comments, or send me an email. I'll be happy to read through your point of view with it. We will be getting into some of these reports later on in some of the audits. Number 1, they just want to know the number of buses that are equipped with this system in your program. Number 2 and number 3 are very similar. They have to do with the Department of Motor Vehicles. Number 2, they want the number, type, and severity of accidents that have happened where these cameras are going to be active prior to the implementation of the cameras. And number 3, they want the same information, number, type, and severity of accidents while the program is running. Number 4, number of violations recorded at each location. They usually want to it done in a cluster, I guess, a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. Some of the data I've seen, it's just a solid report that'll show me all the locations for all the tickets. 4A, this has to do, or I interpreted this as the number of tickets that were basically paid for. They talk about convictions. I read a few places that if you pay the ticket, I guess they consider it, not a lawyer here again, they consider it admission of guilt if you pay the ticket. So I'm wondering if that is what they mean by convictions, as well as if a judge sees it and rules in favor of the citation, or the county or the city. Number 5, the total number of notices of liability. That means, let's say, after the camera system companies give these to the police, you have 1,500, the police sign off on them, you have 1,500 citations. You mail those out, your number for 5 would be 1,500. Number 6, the number of those fines that are paid on the first notice. So let's say 1,000 of those fines are paid on the first notice. $250 a ticket, that'd be $250,000. So for 6, you'd write 1,000 notices of liability and $250,000. Number 7, the number of violations adjudicated. I took this as a few different categories. One, it's considered the number of tickets that are paid without contesting in court, the number of tickets that are not contested, or the number of tickets that are contested, and possibly how those rulings went, but that might fall back into number 4A, the number of convictions. Number 8, the total number of revenue realized by the town, city, village, county, whoever put this program out. Number 9, the expenses incurred by the city and town. Now, some of these programs, they put the cameras on at no cost, and you'll be hit with what's called a technology fee every month. I'm not sure if that falls under the category of expenses incurred. And we'll jump down here to 11, because that's part of number 9, a description of the public education activities conducted. So these are, by law, you're required to have to notify how much money you've put back into the public for education. I even saw, I believe, a few county ordinances that required at least 10% of the program be cycled back into public education. And number 10 is the quality of the adjudication process. Basically, take that as hearings scheduled, and how many people, if you've paid the citation before the hearing or after, if you've rescheduled it, etc. Now, one of the defenses that I liked was in, as in November. This one basically says if the system malfunctions, it can be used as a defense for the citation. I have actually seen a state where they denied that as being used as a defense.